Good morning, Huntsville. Who's excited to be a part of the 2018 NASA International Space Apps Challenge? Wow. You guys are awake this morning. I'm impressed. All right, we're like, as I said earlier, about T-minus 50 minutes, I guess, if my math is right, which it probably isn't. From the countdown to 11:30 is when we're going to get started here, and I know you're all chomping at the bit for that. All right, a great crowd. A lot busier than it was this time yesterday, and that's exciting. All the contestants are here. Anybody nervous? No? I'm terrified, and I'm not even involved in what you're doing. Congratulations for getting here, and I know you guys are going to do great things. The whole history of NASA has been one of problem solving and reaching goals, and I know that's what you're going to do. It's exciting to see the next generation. A lot of high school kids. How many are in high school today? Look at this. College. Fantastic. This is awesome. So you guys are going to take us back to the moon and then to Mars over the next couple of years, really. I mean, the SLS launches in 2020. And then from there, wow, sky's the limit. Incredible. We have a few things to talk about. We have some excited guest speakers who are going to come up here and talk a little bit about some of the the nuts and bolts of what's going to happen today over the next 48 hours or so. Let me reintroduce myself. I'm Dan Schaefer with Way 31 TV. We're a local ABC affiliate here. Very excited to be part of this and sponsors of this great event, along with a lot of other local companies. Our first speaker, in fact, is from the Madison County Huntsville Chamber of Commerce. She has been instrumental in bringing all this together, and come on up, Ms. Chapman. She is you have a lot to say, a lot of good things to say about this city and what is happening in Huntsville. It's a very exciting place to be. If you're not from Huntsville, I know most of you are, but some of you are from out of town, this is a great place to be. And we hope that you'll consider coming here and, putting what you're doing now into practice, getting us to the next level in space travel. So I'm going to turn it over.
All right, thank you and good morning. And I'm Georgina Chapman, Workforce Director with the Huntsville-Madison County Chamber of Commerce. And we're the presenting sponsor, so all the credit really goes to Urban Engine and their entire team, Tony Eberhardt. We're just here to kind of support you guys and give the money. So they're the ones that really did the hard work. Good morning to all of you. It's great to see this crowd. On behalf of our Smart Place recruiting campaign, we are pleased to be a presenting sponsor for this year's NASA Space Apps Challenge main stage event right here in Huntsville. We're also excited to work with event organizer Urban Engine and other partners and sponsors, including Intuitive Research Technology Corporation. A Smart Place is the Chamber's workforce development and recruitment initiative. It's focused on connecting students with a smart career and attracting smart people from around the world to be a part of our dynamic and growing workforce. We knew that the NASA Space Apps Challenge would reach the most talented and motivated coders, creators, and problem solvers in the world, you guys. And we are proud to be a part of this and to attract you guys to be a part of our dynamic and growing workforce. We're also thrilled to have the opportunity to reach you guys and everybody else directly. Recently, the Chamber relaunched a smartplace.com and a SmartPlace app to help us reach even more students and job seekers. The new site and app are comprehensive approaches for all ages and levels of experience, whether you're in high school or you're wanting to change your career. A smartplace.com and the app include job listings, skill certifications, resume building resources, as well as hundreds of videos showing you firsthand what it's like to have a career in technology, education, construction, aerospace, hospitality, and more. Our goal is to make sure people will think of a smartplace.com and use the app as their one-stop shop for learning about jobs and exploring new career opportunities. Thank you to Urban Engine for the opportunity to be the presenting sponsor for the Huntsville Main Stage event, and we look forward to sharing more with you about a smart place during this hackathon. We also invite you to visit us in the Tech Career and Expo next door, and together we can show the world the kinds of careers and smart opportunities that are available right here in the Rocket City. Thank you and good luck this weekend.
All right, thanks very much, Georgina. And as she said, Huntsville is an exciting place to be. It is a lot happening in this town, and a lot has changed in the last couple of decades here. So we hope you'll give us a shout and check out the website, smartplace.com. Next is Matt Scott. Matt Scott is here. Oh, there he is. Hey, Matt, come on up. Matt Scott is the community manager at SpaceApp's global organizing team. He really had a lot to do with this. He's actually had a lot to do with this over the many years. It's been 2012, is that when it started? Yeah, 2012, and you've seen a lot of changes over the years.
I mean, I got involved in 2016.
Come on over here. We'll let you tell your story. But you really had everything to do with making this a main stage event and making it what it is today from the last few years. Thanks, Matt, very much.
Thank you so much. And I love your tie colors matching the
Thank you.
NASA logos. This is really great. How's everyone doing today? Oh, wow, a lot of energy in the room. Thank you so much. Again, I'm Matt Scott, and I work at an organization called Second Muse, where in my work I am focused on NASA's International Space Apps Challenge as the community manager and storyteller on the global organizing team. And so I am really pleased and thankful to have the opportunity, the honor, and the privilege to welcome you to the 2018 International Space Apps Challenge. And we really wouldn't be where we are now without all of you. This is a packed room. I see people out in the hallway just trying to get in. Hopefully this is totally within the fire code. The exits are over here. Maybe there's one over here also. But just as we get started, I want to mention there are hundreds of you here today to hack and create solutions that are going to solve problems on Earth and in space. And I think that's amazing to know that Huntsville is the main stage. And I'll get into that. But I want to mention to all of you, for those who don't know, that there are 200 plus space apps events taking place all around the world in 80 countries. And there are people just like you who are showing up probably for a lot of the reasons that you showed up, to engage with NASA, engage with NASA's data, explore science and technology, and really make a difference in whatever way they choose to. So I actually overheard, I know some of you are planning to not sleep too much this weekend and to stay up and work hard, and I think that's great. I hope you stay hydrated and caffeinated, or whatever, to get going this weekend. I just want to mention that yesterday, about 24 hours ago, Sarah Hemmings, who is one of my teammates on the Space Apps Global Organizing team and who works with NASA, actually announced that we had 15,000 registered participants with Space Apps this weekend. And we're just kicking off the weekend. 15,000 is great. I can tell you that as of right now, as the registrations keep rolling in, we just passed 17,000 people. And so the numbers are keep going up and up. We're going to see more people sign on, and what that means for us is really more awesome projects this Space Apps weekend. Just to talk a little bit about Huntsville, this is our main stage event. So this is where the Space Apps Global Organizing team is coming to you to talk about Space Apps, to really celebrate Space Apps weekend. And Huntsville's a special place. Someone actually asked me yesterday, what makes Huntsville so special when it comes to Space Apps? Why is Huntsville the main stage? And while I know NASA and Sarah and others from the global organizing team could really speak to that, I could tell you that when I got here off my flight, the first thing I saw was a NASA logo, and I actually bought this NASA Huntsville shirt at the airport, and I walked out and took a ton of pictures of all of the different signs that were up of the different space missions. And so it's very clear that Huntsville, the Rocket City, is closely tied in with Space Apps. But also in talking with Tony Eberhardt and the team at Urban Engine who organized all of this, I was really impressed that Tony and team, and really all of you, are being the change you want to see in the world. So, so many of you know what Huntsville was like 10 years ago. I didn't know because this is my first time here and having an amazing time. But, it's changed so much because of the effort and work that all of you are doing. And in 5 years from now and 10 years from now, it'll be so much different. that's actually one thing that really links all of you with the global community. And I wanted to share a video with you of some of the video chat conversations I've actually had over the past 12 hours with people who are making the world a better place in their own way, in their own communities. I literally talked with them as recently as this morning and just wanted to share what they had to say with all of you. So I think we're about to cue up the video.
NASA Space. I am Chiara Chiesa, and I'm the lead of NASA Space Up Challenge in Brescia.
And having a good time. Say hello. You're live on Google Hangouts. Say hello, everybody.
I just think already onto a second coffee. Everybody's finalizing their teams and their challenge selection. So yeah, everybody feeling good and pumped?
Yeah.
Yeah, we are just start the event.
Hi, Sarah. My name's Sarah. I decided to come along because it just sounded like a bunch of fun and a chance to meet new people and throw some ideas around about space. So that's why I'm here. What's your name? I want to know your name. Ricardo. And your team's name is? I speak you are.
I'm a solar physicist. I'm a graduate of the University of Alabama in Huntsville. So I'm really glad to have a connection back to my hometown in the Rocket City. So thank you.
It's gonna be a great opportunity. Some people might not take it, but like most people don't know that computers are gonna be here in the future, and they're gonna be like most part of everybody's life.
About 12 weeks ago, Australia opened its first space agency. So we're really excited about that. The mission of the space agency, it hasn't found a home yet. So it could be Sydney, Melbourne, Canberra, but we're putting our hands up in Perth and saying we want to have it here.
It's our honor to participate in this occasion. I think we wish to use this occasion to demonstrate to the international audience to how capable, how innovative Taiwanese capability they can be.
Perth has had a lot of history, I think, in connecting with NASA, and they have one of NASA's 5 robots. One is on the space station, and one is up north in one of the mining towns.
Space includes all of us. Space Up is inclusive too. Inclusion so touch for me. This is why I got involved in Space Up.
I'll reference the words of Megan Clark, who was the new head of Australia's space agency. So her message to the community was basically no limits. Get out there and get into the sector and bring your talents and bring your skills. So I think I guess that could be a motto for us this weekend. No limits.
I think just good luck to everybody around the world. This is fantastic.
Keep going, keep working. It's such an amazing community. I've been in touch with some of them, like in Romania or in Nigeria. Hi, Lucky. Is one of the organizers, and so yes, it's been very, very great working with all those people from other countries, from other cultures, from other religions. And the thing that I really love is that science and NASA are uniting us all together for the benefit of the world.
Thank you. Space Up.
I don't know if you have anything like that planned as a Huntsville group, but I would tell you to coordinate something like that you could do that's united. One thing that's really amazing to me about all of those conversations is that, again, those were real conversations I had last night and even early this morning. And, of course, there's a language barrier sometimes, and sometimes it's hard to get to, it's hard to understand, or the connection's not perfect. And I think that's completely fine, because the cool thing to me, and I hope to all of you, is just to know that there are people all around the world who are part of this. Those are all real people who are working right now on their space apps projects. And so you're gonna kick off, get started, get things done. But one thing I also want to point out before I share this last video with you is just to share that everyone has a story. Like, you heard some of the stories from different leads and participants who were in the video, and each and every one of you has a story, a reason for being here, and I'd really encourage you to think about that and embrace that. So, you have your reasons why, and I want you all to think about why you're here. I also want you to think about what you're bringing to the table. So some of you are artists, some of you are storytellers, others are coders, others are engineers. So we have a mix of skills, and you're all going to get to know each other and understand who brings what to the table. But I also want you to think about what you're going to take away from all of this, because I've heard from people before who've said, space apps has changed my life. And, it could change your life if you want it to change your life and want to have that experience for you. And so really I'd encourage you to tap into that. What I'll say now is I want to share a video with you from the International Space Station, astronaut Drew Feustel, who has some words for you about what the space apps experience really entails. So without further ado, I'm not going to hold you back from hearing from the astronaut.
Greetings from the International Space Station. I'm NASA astronaut Drew Feustel, orbiting aboard this magnificent laboratory 250 miles above the Earth. Welcome to the 2018 International Space Apps Challenge. Our orbiting home, the International Space Station, has something important in common with space apps: all-around teamwork and collaboration. On the ISS, astronauts from a diverse range of backgrounds are operating experiments and maintaining the station, and we have been doing this continuously for almost 18 years. We accomplish so much more working together than any one of us could alone. The same idea applies to space apps. This weekend, please connect with participants all around the globe as you create solutions to the world's greatest challenges. Find solutions that could very well assist astronauts on our future exploration of the moon and deep space. Best of luck, Space Apps 2018, and don't forget to use hashtag SpaceApps to share your story.
Don't want to interrupt him as he floats off screen. But again, as he said, hashtag SpaceApps to share your story, hashtag SpaceApps HSV to share what's going on here. And we keep talking a lot about stories, and actually I'm pulling out my phone because I am logged into the Space Apps Challenge Facebook page and would love to go live to share a little bit of a message from all of you for the global community of however many people, 17,000 plus, who are part of Space Apps this weekend. So there's actually a phrase that I have said and brought to different Space Apps events, and it's, we are the Space Apps Challenge. But let's just simplify it. We are Space Apps. Could you repeat after me? We are Space Apps? We are Space Apps. Oh, wow, you're good at this. One more time. We are Space Apps. Okay, so I'm going to hit live, and I'm going to just pan across, and I'll do a 1, 2, 3 countdown, and we're going to see how this goes. All right, cool. So we're live now here at Space Apps Huntsville, and the Huntsville hackers here at Space Apps have a special message for all of you. We are Space Apps. I don't know if they could hear you. Could you repeat that again? We are Space Apps. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. This is so cool. Thanks again, everyone.
Thank you, Matt. Exciting time, very exciting day. We're going to get to it in just a second, but as Matt mentioned, everybody's got a story. And we wanted to hear some of your stories. Anybody feel brave and daring? Do you want to stand up for a second? Maybe you don't even have to stand up. I'll come to you. Tell us your story. Give me your name.
Okay, my name is...
You don't get to hold the mic. I'm sorry. MC School 101. Never give up your mic.
All right, my name is Dion Lindsay Lewis, and
Let's step away from this speaker here for a second. Come on back over here. All right, that'll be better. Say it again now. What's your name?
My name is Dion Lindsay Lewis, and this over here is my team, the Lituation. Yeah. We just came to do our thing here, and we came to enjoy it, have fun, and of course, we're trying to win like everyone else, right?
Absolutely. So what's your specialty?
Specialty, coding, but really we just synergy. Like so much synergy in this team, and so much energy together, and when one of us is down, the other four is just right there picking them right up. So
Well, that's what it's all about, isn't it?
yes, sir.
Absolutely. Teamwork. All right, best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to say a few words? Encourage the group? Come on, guys. Nobody? Who? All right, you got to hang on. I'm going to run over. Okay, yeah, come on down here. That's easier, actually. I'm not even going to try to step over that. All right, what's your name and where are you from?
My name is David House. I'm from Dunlap, Tennessee. To everyone who's watching it live stream, and to my brother over there who's embarrassed as all get out that I'm standing up here.
Here's your camera. They're talking there.
All right, right there. I drove down here yesterday after working for about 12 hours at a construction company because I don't program for a living. But we work hard, and everyone on our team is probably the best programmers I've ever seen. And Mike over there pretty much can go for about 48 hours without sleeping, and I'm going to see if I can keep up with him. We don't know.
What are you running on right now?
What am I running on? A lot of caffeine and about 3 hours of sleep after driving for about 2 hours. But everyone here is working on not much sleep at all. But that's what you got to do, right?
Right. Deadlines, right?
Yeah, you get out there, you get it done, and hopefully go home with $1,000. I don't know.
$10,000 in cash and prizes. That's what you're in for.
I didn't know what the cash and prizes were when I came down here, though.
So you're just he's in it for the love of the game. I love that kid. Thank you. Another one over here. Hang on a second. All right.
My name is Carmen Morgan, and I'm a teacher at New Century Technology High School, and I would like all the New Century students to stand up. All the New Century Technology High School. This is the best high school for Huntsville City Schools. We are a magnet school that focuses on computer science, engineering, and biomed, and we are here to represent and kick some booty, and I want to let one of my computer science students talk.
Hey, my name is Brittany Bush. I'm a senior at New Century. I've been there for the past 3 years, going on my third. We started out with just the computer science club coming, and it ended up that some engineering kids and some biomed kids actually wanted to come in and work on their own thing. So we've actually got about 4 teams competing here, and everyone's doing something completely different, from coding to building, doing all kinds of cool stuff. So we're just really excited to show what our school can do.
This is the future right here, the future.
Thank you very much, ladies. Appreciate it. What are you going to do with the money if you win?
Oh, it's got college scholarships, money, books, textbooks.
That's right. All right. Great. Fantastic. Anybody else? Okay, back here since we're on this side. How many on your team? 3. Come on over. Come on over. All right. Who's the spokesperson?
Sure, why not?
Say your name and where are you from?
So I'm Tristan. I'm part of UAH, the UAH CS Club. All of us are in CS Club. So we're going to be having some fun. We're all computer science majors, and we're just have a good time.
Yeah. That's all right. That's all right. You're excited to be here, though. I can tell. He said it all. That's good. Yeah. That's cool. Thank you guys very much. Congratulations. Good luck with the competition today. Wow, this is exciting. Anybody else want to say a few words to the group? Back, okay. Let me run back here. I'm going to have to go all the way around to the other side. I mentioned this yesterday. Anybody remember Phil Donahue? Yeah, some of the geezers in the crowd remember that. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. What's your name?
My name is Grace. I'm here with the University of Alabama Astronautics.
Get out of your light there. Okay, I'm saying Grace, and with whom?
University of Alabama Astronautics. We compete at NASA's RMC Challenge, and we're just here to have some fun.
Yeah. How many in your group?
We have 6 people here. We have, I believe, 4 CS majors and 2 computer engineering.
And you're in it to win it?
Yes, we are. We're ready to win tonight.
What's your secret for staying up for 48 hours?
Lots of coffee.
Lots of coffee.
And Mountain Dew sometimes.
Yeah, there you go. Congratulations. Good luck, guys. Appreciate it. Was that it? Anybody else want to psych the crowd? Okay, over here. Let's go over this way. How are you?
I'm good. How about you?
Did I talk to you yesterday? No, that was somebody else.
Maybe.
What's your name?
I'm Jessica Baylor, and I'm here from Huntsville, and I'm here with my corporate team from Intuitive Research and Technology Corporation.
Yeah. Hey, congratulations. If folks didn't know, and I mentioned this yesterday, Intuitive just won the best place to work for a medium-sized company in the country. Top of the list from Fortune magazine. Congratulations, guys. That's awesome. All right, so what are you specializing in? What are you looking to win here?
Well, we're mainly here just to compete and have a lot of fun. That's our main goal. I'm personally a 3D artist, but everybody else on the team is a programmer. So we're all just here to have fun and really show Huntsville what we can do.
I get it. Keeping it close to the vest. She's not going to give too much away. All right. Congratulations. Thanks a lot. And these are our sponsors also of this event, if you didn't know. Intuitive Research and Technology right here in Huntsville. Congratulations again. All right. Anybody else? We're going to introduce our next speaker, Michael. Where is Michael? He's over here. Michael Carroll is with another one of our major sponsors, Urban Engine. Basically, everything you see here is due to the fine work from Urban Engine. These guys have been at it for 3 months. I think none of your group has had any sleep, probably.
I think that's
that's probably a fair statement. So, Michael, I won't waste any more of your time, and we want to get these guys out the door and into the competition, so take it away.
Fantastic. Yes, I know that I am the last thing standing between you and getting... Be Mike. Is this Mike? All right. Yeah. Okay, much better. So I am the chairman of the board at Urban Engine, and the energy in this room right now is the reason that we do what we do at Urban Engine. We are absolutely thrilled to be the host city for the main stage for the NASA Space Apps Challenge. I think it shows some of the long history that Huntsville has had in the space and rocket industry. It brings out some of our best NASA employees, as well as all of the other people that work at the supporting companies throughout the city. It's just great to have so many smart people, so many excited people working on really hard challenges under one roof. I think this is an absolutely incredible opportunity. So our mission, our mantra at Urban Engine is to propel ideas forward. And what that means is that we want you to take those ideas that you have floating around in your head, those ideas that you talk to your friends about over lunch, the things that wake you up in the middle of the night, and we want you to execute on those ideas. And we want to give you the platform and the processes and the connections so that you can take your ideas to the next level. And we do that a couple different ways. One is what you see right here. It's Space Apps. Are y'all excited to be here? So hackathons to me are the epitome. That's my favorite part is, the lead up is obviously pretty difficult. I know that Tony and Emily and Carly, along with all of our volunteers, have been working their butts off over the past couple months. But seeing everybody in here today, I think makes all of that worth it. So hackathons, they challenge you, they excite you. You're really going to be tried over the next 24 hours. You're going to be running on a little bit of sleep, maybe no sleep, a whole lot of caffeine. You're going to have different opinions, but you're going to have to work together and solve some really hard challenges. So I'm really, really excited to see what you guys can come up with at the end of this 24 hours. So I'd like to take a chance. I know we've thanked them multiple times, but I think it's important to thank them again. I think we should thank our presenting sponsors, Intuitive and A Smart Place. Without them, this could not have happened. So let's give them a round of applause. Additionally, I want to thank our facility sponsor. Because of that, we get to hack in one of the coolest places on the entire planet. Space Camp is right next door. You could see a Saturn V through the front door. I think all of you should go over, and I'll talk about a little bit later, go over to observe the moon night, hang out under the space shuttle a little bit later if you're looking to get away and take a break. I don't think there is a better place on the planet to have a NASA hackathon. So let's give them a round of applause. And I want to thank all of our other sponsors who has helped make this possible. Huntsville Steamworks, the Alabama Media Group, Flourish Consulting, Way TV, and then all of our food sponsors who are going to keep you fed and caffeinated throughout the weekend. So especially give them a round of applause. Fantastic. So with that, I'm going to go into a little bit of logistics of the hackathon. We're going to talk about what we're going to be doing here for the rest of the weekend. All right? Excellent. So, schedule of events. I can definitely tell this was exported to PowerPoint. Thank you, Matt. Schedule events. So here's what we're going to be doing for the rest of the weekend. Obviously, 8 o'clock's already passed, and 11:30 is coming up quick. But some of the other things that you should probably know about this afternoon, we're going to have a pitch workshop at 5 o'clock. So we have people coming in to help you think about the story that you are going to tell when you put this in a video. That is a critical aspect of this. You can have the technology, but if you can't tell the story, you can't convince the judges that yours is the winning answer, right? So I would strongly encourage that you attend the pitch workshop because they have some great knowledge that they're going to share with you. Like I said, tonight, by a matter of coincidence, is International Observe the Moon Night. So that's actually going to be happening over at the Space and Rocket Center from 6 to 9. You can go over there, and I think, you probably don't want to take too long of a break, but I think they've got a movie screen, and I think they've got a whole bunch of telescopes and some VR experiences, and just generally a bunch of other people that are really enthusiastic about space. So I think it would be a pretty awesome thing to check out, and it's just across the parking lot, so you really have no excuse. So at 11:30 tonight, we got to kick the high schoolers out. Sorry. You're free to go hack somewhere else. You just can't hack here. Okay? You can come back at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. We'll have coffee for you, and you'll be ready to go. Then tomorrow afternoon, we have the code freeze. And then we're going to give you 30 extra minutes to make sure that you get all of your projects loaded into the Space Apps Challenge website. That's another thing that people tend to overlook. It's going to have to happen. Make sure you're thinking about that ahead of time. We'll do our preliminary judging rounds. The judges will watch your videos, we'll down select, and then we'll do final live pitches and award ceremony over in the Davidson Center under the Saturn V Rocket. Yeah. So just a few things I want to make sure that everybody's aware of. Conduct yourselves ethically and as professionals here. I don't feel like I really have to say that to all of you. You all look very sharp, very kind, very nice. But we want to make sure that we are welcoming to everybody, so especially if maybe you don't have a team and you're looking for a team, I want those teams that maybe don't have their full complement of people yet to make sure that you're chatting with people, make sure you're making connections. Don't just make connections with the people that are in your team. You need to share an experience with everybody, right? So be welcoming. Ensure everybody's safety, so no weapons, no pogo sticks, no ripsticks, nothing that the insurance company would frown upon. No drugs and alcohol. You don't need that anyway. We're at a hackathon. We've got plenty of coffee. Don't insult or harass, so no offensive language, and we don't want anybody to discriminate on a whole bunch of things: age, gender identity, sexual orientation, disability, physical appearance, body size, ethnicity, nationality, race, religion, education, or socioeconomic status. This is free. This is for everybody. Everybody loves space, so be nice to everybody. And then abstain from sexual language or imagery. If, and that's a big if, hopefully it doesn't happen, if there's any issues, we have the code of conduct on our website. You can email conduct@SpaceAppsHuntsville. You can email myself. You can email Tony. You can email Emily. You can text me directly. That is my phone number. Please let me know. We will deal with it appropriately, up to and including calling the authorities. Please don't make me call the police on any of you. As you've already discovered, we have the first and second floor of the building. I think all of you have already spread out into every nook and cranny. All that we ask is that you don't go into closed and locked doors, don't go in any place that looks like you're not supposed to be. We would appreciate it. We want to be very nice to our hosts. Clean up after yourself. Don't make a mess. Don't do anything stupid, please. We like to return the building in the condition that we got it. So I think all of our internet Wi-Fi issues have been generally sorted out. Is that true, Matt? Maybe? Okay. He shrugged. That's close enough. So if it was working, and that security key is wrong. It's supposed to be HSV, but I'm sure you already knew that. So we're going to talk a little bit about our submission requirements. So team size is 1 to 5 people. You can have more than 5 people, but we're only going to write 5 checks. So then it's up to you to figure it out. You can Venmo, you can PayPal, you can do whatever. Remote members are allowed, but one person has to be physically present here to win. So if you submit and we can't find any of you, that's a problem. So don't submit and then go home and take a nap, for the whole team go home and take a nap, because if we can't find you, we can't give you a check, right? Teams must be registered on the Space Apps website. I think all the individuals have already been registered, but we want to make sure that you are registered as a team as well. And then here is a critical thing, especially for those of you who are working kind of maybe intuitive or corporate folks, make sure you understand that your project has to be submitted under an OSI compatible license. That means that everything that everybody is doing around the world, all 17,000 participants, are contributing to open source software. So all of that software is going to be out there that we can all look at, that we can all share, makes all of us smarter, all of us better. If you have any questions about what an OSI license means, find myself or any of the other technical committee. I will say that if you do not choose a license, the Apache license will be chosen for you. Okay, so if you're thinking about commercialization or things like that, maybe something just to think about during the course of the hackathon. Oh, and we're going to do questions at the end of this as well. So the judging process. All of this is in the participant handbook, but I just wanted to reiterate, the judges will select finalists by evaluating their video, and they will take a look at the code if it's available. If there's a demo that they actually need to come around and see, like if it's a VR thing or it's a mechanical thing, then they may need to actually visit with you and look at it. But the bulk of the judging, the primary judging vehicle, is that 2-minute video. So be aware of that. If you don't have previous experience in video composition, video editing, make sure that you are like mentally allocating some time to do it. Don't wait until 2:15 tomorrow afternoon and be like, oh, we can just make a video now, right? Because it's probably not going to be successful. So there are several ways that we can get this, you can put a video together. One of the ways we've suggested, obviously the iPhones have so much capability on them now that you'd actually probably be able to record everything on the iPhone. Now, if you're trying to do an app demonstration, then you kind of have to do like an iPhone recording an iPhone, and that could be kind of awkward. Additionally, you can use something like Google Hangouts, and so you could have everybody that you want to speak during the presentation to actually join Google Hangouts and do it that way. So just be mindful. Video is not easy if it's not in your skill set. Just be aware that that is a critical component to the challenge. For each individual challenge, one of the other things I would encourage you to look at on each challenge page, you will see there's a button that says Launch Chat, and that will allow you to communicate with people all over the world that are working on that same challenge, along with the challenge organizer, the challenge lead for that category. Also on each challenge page, there's a little pop-down menu that says Challenge Resources. Those are put there for a reason. So take a look at them, see what's there, think about them. I would strongly suggest not reinventing the wheel and not going it your own. It's typically best to look at the NASA data that the NASA people said would work when they were writing the challenge, at least as a jumping off point. Some of the other resources that are available to you, so Huntsville Steamworks, for any of you who are doing a mechanical or electrical type application, Huntsville Steamworks over at the Low Mill building is going to be open all day today. They're also one of our sponsors. We have the GitHub page that has all of the data bootcamp presentations that's happened over the past several weeks at co-working night, as well as yesterday evening. And we have a portion of those on the live stream from yesterday as well. We have a subreddit, and then there's also a local Slack instance with a bunch of technology people in it as well. And we are actually really privileged to have a couple of the local challenge owners here as well. So Andrew Denio, there he is. So Andrew actually wrote Making Sense Out of Mars, remixed the Golden Record, which is my personal favorite. I'm not a judge, so don't use that as a basis of which one you choose. And Space Apps, the documentary. And then Dan O'Neill in the back there. I think a lot of you have talked to him. He wrote 1D, 2D, 3D Go. And then David Reynolds. Is David here? I hadn't seen him this morning. Okay. He is the owner of the Virtual Space Exploration. So maybe if you have some questions about those challenges, you can go to them, but they're certainly not going to give you any pointers or advantage that any other team wouldn't have. I just thought it was kind of cool that here in Huntsville we're responsible for 5 out of the 25 challenges, right? So very quickly, just how to build a winning solution. I think there's some things that you want to think about as you're approaching these challenges. Think about impact. You want to solve big problems. Don't solve small problems. These are huge challenges. Let's solve the big problem. Creativity. Solve them in ways that maybe people haven't solved them before. The reason these challenges are out there is because all of you have a whole bunch of different backgrounds, you have a whole bunch of different mindsets, and you will think about these problems differently than other people will. So use that creativity, harness that creativity, and bring that into your solution. Product. So solve the right problem. So when you sit down and you read that challenge, think about who that challenge is affecting. Are you solving a problem for that person, or are you educating or inspiring a particular person? So make sure that as you read the challenge, you know that you're solving the right problem. Sustainability. Can you take this seed, this nugget that you make during the hackathon and grow that into something even bigger? That's obviously something we would love to see at Urban Engine. We want you to be as successful as possible. Take these ideas and run with them. Build a business out of them. Build a nonprofit out of it. Get a job with NASA. Whatever you want to do, take this idea and show us the sustainability of it. And then finally, like I said before, presentation. You've got to be able to communicate your story. Use your resources, like I said. Work as a team, take in everybody's kind of diverse viewpoints, everybody's different understanding, make sure that you're not shutting anybody out on your team, incorporate those different perspectives. I would say don't force it, take a break. If there's one thing that I've learned at the hackathon, if you try and go heads down the entire time, you're gonna burn out. So like I said, you could walk over, you could observe the moon, you could step outside, you could stretch your legs, you can go get a coffee, but if you get to the point where you just feel like you're at that breaking point, take a break. Don't force it. A lot of times I find that inspiration comes kind of in the quiet moments where you're not just sitting there at the keyboard. So think about that. And then have fun, right? The whole point is to have fun. It wouldn't be fun. If it wasn't fun, you wouldn't be spending all weekend here with us, right? So with that, I want to say good luck and happy hacking. I think, so we're going to do very quickly, I'm not going to let you go quite yet. Very sorry. We are going to do just a few questions and answers with Matt. Matt's going to help me answer. So I want everybody to give Matt Brooks a hand. Matt is our Director of Innovation at Urban Engine, and he has really been the driving force on making space apps happen. He is the reason that Urban Engine is able to do events like this. So he's going to help me answer questions because he knows the answers way better than me. And then very quickly after the questions, we're going to have people kind of file in. Anybody who's out there, I want to get a huge kind of group picture from the stage. I think, Rayleigh, I don't know where you went. You're around. I saw you. There you go. So we're going to get a picture of everybody in the audience. We want to show the world what Huntsville looks like. So very quickly, do we have any questions? Andrew.
So I just want to point out, starting at 1 o'clock, going through the weekend, we have a Snapchat filter for space apps, so please use Snapchat. All right, so take a selfie with your friends, whatever, swipe, and you'll find the picture that kind of looks like that, starting at 1 p.m. Also, just want to quickly plug that I won space apps a couple years ago, and I work for NASA. Keep trying.
Andrew is the space app success story, right? And like he said, Snapchat filters. So for those of you here in Huntsville, in the building, it should show up in the list of filters that are available. So take silly pictures and snap them out. Is that what they do? They snap them out? Okay.
Yeah. Nobody uses Snapchat anymore.
Oh, no. Okay, any other questions? Questions on judging? Questions on... Yep, sorry. What's up?
It's like 6.
Yes. So the question was, is there a set list of finalists? Like, are there a number of finalists that are going to make it to the next level? I think that is a discussion that we still have to have because we did not know how many teams were here until right now. So last I heard, there are over 150 people here competing today. So
yeah. So
it'll
be 6. It'll be probably 6 to 10 teams. So it just depending, and if of course it depends on the scoring. So if people tie, we'll probably just let you go to the finals. So if you tie like 3rd place and there's like 3 teams, then we'll probably add 3 teams. That's probably how it's worked. Yeah.
So the detail remain to be seen, but we will let you know. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes. So the question is, do you need to cite your sources in the video? I think it would be more. I think it would be more impressive if you did, right? Especially if you're pulling numbers that seem like they could be suspicious. You could always include them in the YouTube comments or in the. Certainly. So the statement is. Yeah, so it is a best effort. Like if you can cite sources or if you can cite the resources that you used, if you can incorporate that into the video, I think that's one thing. I think you could also kind of include it in the description of the YouTube video, right?
And there'll be some time after this is done for you to fill in the details that you'd want to do. Just keep in mind, you're under a time strain. Do the most important things first, and then like when you're doing projects, kind of, and I encourage everybody to do this. Say, what is my must-haves for this to be successful, and what are my nice-to-haves? And make a list of all your must-haves and focus on those. And then as you're finishing those up, then start attacking your nice-to-haves. So, yeah.
Tony. Great. So if you get stuck, you don't understand a challenge, you don't understand a piece of technology, several different ways you can approach it. One, if it's a challenge-specific thing, I would certainly suggest the chat rooms that are part of the spaceappschallenge.org website. Additionally, we will have technical mentors kind of wandering around through the day, and I encourage you to actually talk to the technical mentors because the technical mentors are also judging an additional prize, right? So don't, when they come around, don't all just like huddle in front of your computers and don't talk to them. They want to learn about what your team is doing, and they all want to help out. They're all super nice people. They're all super sharp people. And so, if they can't answer a particular part of the question, I'm sure they could find somebody who could. So there are people like Matt and myself, and then a whole bunch of other technical volunteers who are going to be in and out throughout the whole weekend.
I have a question. Every innovation effort has many flaws. There are some critical flaws in every innovation effort. How do you, in general, recognize the critical paths so that you don't get stuck later?
So the question is, how do you recognize sort of the path to innovation isn't always clear, right? There's multiple ways, there's multiple solutions that you could try. And how do you know which one is the right answer before you get there? The critical ones. Yeah, so the thing that we tend to, kind of subscribe to at Urban Engine is the minimal viable product. So that kind of comes from the entrepreneurship startup world, and that is build the smallest thing first that is a successful implementation of your solution. So maybe you've got a list of 100 features. Really, though, you only need like 2 features, right? So you get that done, and then you have a hypothesis on how to make it better. So you have your hypothesis, you build up a little bit more, and then you actually test it out. And you say, was this better than what we were doing before, or is it a step backwards? And so if you use that iterative process, especially in a hackathon, that way you don't architect a really big solution, get 80% of the way through it, and then find out it's not going to work. So with the minimal viable product, you have the working thing, you have a working something from the beginning that you can iterate and make better through the course of the night, through the course of the next day.
So 5 p.m. tonight, we'll have a pitch kind of workshop. Now that's going to have a little bit of instructional piece to it, but it really is a time you guys want to come get together and discuss what your pitch is. You'll still have plenty of time to modify it after that. So, there's plenty of hop around, so technical, and then get started with really fun.
Yes. So reiterating, pitch workshop, 5 o'clock tonight. I believe it's in upstairs, here. You'll be here. We'll let you know. I think it's here. Great. So if you have any other questions, you can find any of us, myself, Matt, Andrew. Oh, do you have another question? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you short. What you got?
That's a cool t-shirt, Matt. Where'd you get it?
You could see Tony. Talk to her.
Tony will happily sell you t-shirts. The t-shirts are supporting a local entrepreneur. Actually, it's a guy I went to high school with, and now he's doing these direct-to-garment printing. So we try and buy all of our t-shirts from them, and they are awesome. Matt is our model here. You should buy them. Yeah. So with that, let's get everybody, all of the people on the wall and all of the people on the back here to kind of come down the center aisle. Why am I ringing a little bit there? Okay. Do we need more light? And I'd say everybody in the seats stand up. Be excited, right? And maybe can we get the Urban Engine people to come down front? Where are our folks? Do you want to give a hand just kind of directing people, squeezing them in?
Oh, yeah. You gave me the mic again. Squeeze in, everyone. I don't know how this fit. Here, I'll stand over here so I can see. How much do they need to squeeze in? Oh, wow. Squeeze in if you're on the corners.
Actually, if I could turn these lights off, is that possible?
These on the side?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then play like crazy. You mean like the ones that are playing? Yeah.
That's awesome. The stage light, these right here?
Yes.
I don't know if I can turn it on.
Oh. Not that bad if I just point down. Does this roll?
Okay.
No?
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Okay. Press the one that says lights off.
All right. On three, everybody's gonna cheese. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Wait. Gotta wait for the flash to restart. See. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. All right. 1, 2, 3. Cheese. All right. And. Oh, that looks awesome. We'll take one more for good measure.
One more for good measure.
Yes.
One.
Everybody excited.
Everybody be excited.
It's okay, we just get to be more excited.
Yeah, we can do better than that. We can do better than that.
That was a practice round.
Oh, yeah. Ready? 1. Wait. Okay. 1.
Be excited.
Awesome, guys.
All right, go Hack. All right, go, 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 Hack.
Hi, we're live here in the Rocket City at Space Apps International Challenge. Hi, we're live here in Rocket City as part of the Space Apps main stage. We've been doing a series of data boot camps. And so we've been able to do a couple over the past few weeks as part of co-working night. And we're happy to represent one of our favorite workshops, which is Introduction to Python. So Marcia Ensley and Kim Hill are here to actually teach us a little bit more about Python. And the exciting thing about this talk is that we're going to let you, the online viewers, ask questions on Twitter. Just add the hashtag SpaceAppsHSV on Twitter. And at the end of the presentation, Marcia and Kim will be more than happy to take any questions you have on Python and life itself.
Hey, nice to see everyone out here. I'm Marcia Ensley. I'm a software engineer. What I use Python for mostly is DevOps. So that means developer operations. That means automating things that are normally manual and making them run in the background where you don't have to think about them.
My name is Kimberly Hill. I am a contractor with NASA and the Marshall Space Flight Center. I actually am a software test engineer working directly with DevOps. We actually use Python for the same thing. Parts of our test bed actually use Python as a GUI interface.
So why learn Python? If you're watching this talk or you're in the room, you probably already know why you want to learn Python. What I like about it as a programmer is how elegant it can be, which means you can do the same thing with fewer lines of code. Get more things done, get off the ground faster, use existing modules to make more things happen. So you can make bigger, more complex programs in less time. Also, the documentation for Python is extremely good. If you go online, anything you Google for Python, you'll probably find something interesting and relevant. To install Python, what you do is just go and download it. Like I said, the documentation is great. When path variable and you tell Windows where Python is. Now again, there's a lot of demonstrations online on how to do this, so we won't cover it in much detail. Python editors. You can save a Python file as a text file by just saving it as a .py file. You can use Sublime Text, you can use Notepad. Python 3 installs with a text editor called idle that you can use, or you can download, and we recommend that you download a whole development environment such as PyCharm that will highlight your variables and let you do cool things like rename all of the variables at the same time, things like that. So what we're going to do here in a little bit is we're going to show you some code. Then we're going to ask you what's wrong with this code. And we're taking feedback on hashtag SpaceAppsHSV to tell us what's wrong with this code. So the first thing the code does, I will tell you, is it says import random. Now, if you've never had any experience with Python at all, what that means is that there's a module, a package of functions called random. And inside random, there's certain named functions that do things like create a random integer. So the bottom line of this slide where it says print random.randint, randint is that function that you have access to in the module, and then you specify from this number to this number, I just want a random number in that range.
All right, we can go to the next slide, I think, and start. One note, if you have a Mac, Python is actually natively installed. Go to your terminal, type Python, it should tell you what version you have. If you go to your Google browser or really any browser and type download Python, it will go to python.org and it will automatically detect your settings and allow you to download Python. I would go for Python 3.
Yeah, the question we got was how do we download Python on a Windows computer? And like I said, the documentation for Python is great. You can just Google what you want to do, and somebody out there has made a tutorial for it. So here on this slide, if you go to trinket.io/python3, the URL is covered up just a little bit, but you can see, and then that string of numbers, that takes you to this code in the browser. This is our D20 dice roller. I don't know if any of y'all play D&D or if ever played a game with dice. This is what this does. So you type in roll 1d20 or roll 2d20, roll 5d8, and it'll give you how many points you got or what number you rolled. Now, this is not good code. This is bad code. And what we're doing is, if you can get on hashtag SpaceAppsHSV, can anyone tell me why it is bad code? Let's go through the code real quick. Okay, we got import random at the top because we're trying to roll a random number. After that, we take input from the user. In the next line, the third line there, we set our input into some variables. Fourth line, we initialize our total. And then 5 and 6 is where it'll repeat for as many number of sides that they say they want to have. It'll repeat and tabulate the total, and then it prints out. And I'll give you a hint, this is bad code, that's the hint. So one thing, right off the bat, how does the user know that they're supposed to type roll 1d20? When they run this code, and you can run the code in your browser, it comes up and it's just a blinking cursor. That's terrible. You don't want to do that to your users. You want your users to know how to interact with your code. You want to tell them how to input. The second thing, what happens if someone types it in wrong? Okay, this code will come up with an error message that's really odd. And then the user has no clue. What did they do wrong? Did they type it in wrong? Did they say too many dice? Is there a limit? So more than just having meaningful user prompts, you also need to have meaningful error messages. And now for a hackathon, that might not be something that you have time to do necessarily, but if you're working on a longer form code project, I want you to think about telling your user what happened behind the scenes in user terms, not in developer terms. Also, what happens if someone types squirrel and that's all they type? It'll come up and it'll say something like not enough variables, not enough things for the variable to set. So that third line there where it says x num dice y number sides. Okay, split on the end of the line scans through. When they say input, it comes into your program as a string. That means text, right? So it comes into your program as text. That split scans for a space character. When it finds a space, it throws it in the garbage, and then it says whatever came before that space gets set as that first variable. Then it scans for another space, throws that away, sets the next thing as the next variable. So if you have them type in roll 1d20, it'll fit into those 4 variables. If they don't have 4 variables, it won't fit. And all of a sudden, Python thinks that you're telling it to initialize a variable to nothing. Python then doesn't know what to do with that, so it'll just come up with an error message. Also, do you see what we do with x and y? Yeah, nothing. We just throw it away. It's a garbage variable. It's generally not a good idea to take variables and then do nothing with them. It's also not a good idea to just name something x and y. I understand that it's quicker than thinking of a meaningful name, but you're going to forget, I promise. You're going to come back to this code in 6 months, a year, and you're going to say, what was I thinking? That's another thing about this code and about code in general, especially for hackathons. If you're writing code, please comment your code. What you need to do, don't try to document what the code does, okay? You can always go back and look. What did this code do? You can Google and see what the code actually does. What you want to do is capture what was I thinking when I wrote this code. So on the 4th line or the 5th line, I can say, this is where the result gets tabulated. You know, on the 3rd line, I probably need to say, this is where user input is set into variables. It'll seem like a little much when you're writing it yourself, but I promise you, you're going to get up, you're going to go have lunch, go have dinner, you're going to come back and you're going to say, what was happening? Or if someone else comes in on your team and starts looking at your code, they're going to be mad at you if you don't have any comments in your code. Of course, a good programmer can figure out what's happening. A bad programmer can figure out what's happening. Anyone can figure out what's literally going on with the code with enough time. But what you want to do, the whole point of programming is to reduce the cost of future change. What you want to do is tell them what you were thinking, so it's easy to come back and change if you say, I came up with a great function to add numbers together. I want to change that out. And then having to search through your code and find that can get a little hairy. What happens in this code if they roll -1D 0.5? It'll run. It'll do something weird. You gotta make sure, if you're using user input at all, you gotta make sure that user input that comes through, that you've checked to make sure what's in there, that it is what you think it is, and that it's numbers that you can work with. So now I'm going to show you, this is my solution. This is one solution to the bad code. I'm calling it the better code because it's not good code, it's just better code. So what we did, line 3, we're checking. Did they put 4 arguments in there? Did they use spaces in it? If they didn't, it comes down and it says incorrect format. In the roll input, we've said roll dice in the format, roll number d-number with spaces. Good, yes. You want to tell your user what you expect. If they do something you don't expect, you want them to know what they did. Then we're still using the same x and y. We haven't gotten rid of that. That would be next steps. Name those something real. Then that if statement on line 5. So that is 3 lines long, and it checks to make sure they've written roll, and then a number, and then D, and then a number. It checks to make sure it's numeric, and then it checks to make sure everything's greater than 0. So if they pass that test, only then do you go and calculate their totals. And this relates to something I wanted to tell you about. You want to catch errors early. So there's something called a try-catch. We're not going to cover that, but if you're more advanced into programming, you can definitely use try-catches for this. But definitely float those if statements to the top. You want to know if it's not in the form you expect it to be in, you want to know that right away. You don't want to be operating on unknown values, okay? That'll help you with a lot of headache because the errors that come up from unknown values are often confusing. So we want to just nip that in the bud right away. Yeah. The link is behind the... Yeah, do we have a copy of that? We will look up this link and then people can open the code in their browser. So next steps for this code. Like, what did I already tell y'all about the first code? I said put comments in. It was too long for the slide, but please put comments in your code. Where it says that if statement, that's real bad. Let's say you want to go back and check that data again. Then you have to write that entire if statement all over again every time. Are you going to get it right? Are you going to get everything in? Then what if you want to change the if statement? You have to change it every time it occurs in your code. So what's better? What we're going to do is take it, make it a function, and put it out to itself. So the, it's trinket.io/python/234-18847AA. Yeah, that's trinket.io/python/234-18847AA. Yeah, so what I was saying in the if statement, what I really want that to say is I want it to say if input is valid, and then that's it. And then it'll continue if input is valid. So what you can do is you can take that whole block and split it out into a function. And a function is a little piece of code you can use over and over. So then later on in the program, if you need to check if the input is valid again, you just say if input is valid. and you take all of that code and you put it somewhere else. We're not going to cover that today because this is still, we still have to cover the NASA API, but just for future work, try to split as much stuff off into itself. It's again, we're trying to reduce the cost of future change. What if you have to change how you check those variables in the future? It'd be better if that was off by itself and not having to go back to it each part in the program. And for experienced developers, what can we do? We can make it a class. We can make it its own module. So then people can say, import dice roller. You can make it a chat bot. You can make it a GUI. You can make it a Slack bot using things like the APIs that people put out there so that you can interface with their product. And with more about APIs, I'm going to turn it over to Kim. We're going to cover NASA APIs and then also a NASA package for the hackathon.
Good morning, everybody. Okay. Who here has ever used an application programming interface? Okay. Technically, we all have. For example, when you type facebook.com, you're the client, your computer's the client, and you're calling out to a Facebook server to get data back, right? So literally almost anything we do involves APIs when we're pulling data from a server or even when we're placing data into a server. As you can read, it is a software-to-software connection. So you basically call to the API to get your Twitter data back. For instance, when you type in #SpaceApps HSV, and it sends information back. It's a pretty simple concept that can be very complicated when you're trying to create your own APIs or to do your own API pulls. However, we're going to talk about a Python library that can make that much easier. Next slide. These are a few different kinds of APIs. The one we're focused on is web service APIs, including REST, SOAP, XML RPC, JSON RPC. XML and JSON are just two file formats for data and just remote protocol calling. SOAP is a very old standard. You probably won't use it a lot. REST is more like a set of architectural principles for how you manage APIs. WebSocket APIs are really interesting. Basically, instead of having to resubmit a request, it'll update automatically, right? So like when you're on Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat or WhatsApp, whatever, it'll slowly say, hey, there are updates to this thread you're following. You click update, and it'll do it automatically without you having to request it or reload the program. Library-based APIs. This is sort of when you're trying to pull binary or code or functions from a website, from a program, right? Class-based APIs. This is a sort of a subset of a library-based API in the sense that it is tied to a class, which is tied to an object-oriented program. So an example might be an Android API when you're trying to use certain Android functions to design a mobile app, or JavaScript API when you're trying to use GeoJSON files, which is sort of basically creating a map. There's also operating system functions and routines, object remoting, and hardware APIs. We won't get into that. I will say even your computer uses APIs, like for instance when you do quick print on Word or Excel, any Microsoft product. What it does is it uses an API to identify which printers are available to you. So Word itself doesn't have to worry about it. I'll quickly say one last thing. That diagram you see, that's an example of microservices. This is probably a term you've heard, particularly if you're in computer science or you've worked in a tech environment. Basically, it's using smaller services and their APIs to do functions for your main function, right? So you use Salesforce, for instance, to store contact data. You can use a chatbot, as Marcia said, to interact directly with people who go to your website, as opposed to having to design it all yourself. Good, next slide. So NASA APIs. Okay. The question was, how does somebody go about finding more information about NASA APIs for their app? We're actually going to start that right now. So I've already answered your question with the next slide. By the way, Wikipedia is a great resource if you want to know more about APIs in general. But let's get started with NASA. If you go to api.nasa.gov, you can actually apply for your own API key. What this is it's a token, right? So it's basically a bunch of letters and numbers that identifies you and allows you to pull data from NASA's data sets. Next slide. They do have a demo key, so say you don't want to sign up right away, you can do a certain number of pull requests per hour. There is a limit to how much data you can pull per hour. In this case, for NASA, it's 1,000 requests. That sounds like a lot, right? But when you think of it like one pull request could be one record for one person, or one record for one satellite. That's not necessarily a ton of information. So part of when you do API pulls is what information is most useful to you, what information do you absolutely need for your program. Let's see, we can go to the next slide. Marsha and I will talk next about a Python wrapper that's really useful for pulling NASA data and some example code that you yourself can use. By the way, the api.nasa.gov website has a bunch of demos. A lot of them are in straight JSON format. Don't get discouraged by that. You can actually scroll down. You can use Wikipedia. You can actually use the API wrapper we're about to mention with Python to pull the same data without having to deal with all the problems that come with trying to create your own JSON or XML file. All right. This is the API wrapper we're talking about. Brendan V has graciously developed his own package for downloading information from NASA data sets, right? So you do need to do the pip install on your Python program, and what that is it basically downloads the library, the wrapper, to your local version of Python. You do need to have an API key as your environment variable. If you look at the GitHub repo we just posted, it will actually tell you how to do that. It's literally just creating a variable called NASA.API._key equals your token. Oh, next slide.
So the reason we chose this open source project to show you guys is that it looks well maintained. Once you get into Python, a lot of people in the Python community are deeply into open source, and that's fantastic. And that's one of the reasons I love Python so much, is that people give back to the community by sharing their developments with everybody else. This package looks excellent. It looks well maintained. The documentation is good. When you go and you consider adding a package into your program, please check those things. Say, when was the last time this was updated? Is it Python 2 or is it Python 3? Can I find documents about how to use what's in the package? These are just things you should consider before you add something into your program. So NASA API, one of the things you can do with it, this is probably the simplest example I found. If you're looking for Mars atmospheric data, you say from NASA import mass, M-A-A-S. Now, what is that doing? That's like the import statement that we saw before, but it's a little different. So NASA is the entire package that loads everything. If you want to just import the Mars atmospheric aggregation system, that's why we say from NASA import this little subsection of NASA. So from NASA import mass. If you imported it as import NASA, you would actually have to access it in a different way. You would have to say nasa.mass.function. And this way you can just refer to it as mass, M-A-A-S. So on that second line, we've got report equals mass.latest. That tells the API that you want to pull the latest atmosphere information from Mars. And that comes back, and you see that third line, it says report.min.temp Fahrenheit. So what that's telling me is that this report object that we've created has many fields in it. I'm guessing they have a max temp Fahrenheit, a min temp Fahrenheit. In those fields, you can get that latest by saying report dot. That's the dot notation for Python. And if you noticed in that second line, mass.latest, that dot latest is the function call that you're using. That empty parentheses means that this call does not expect anything from you to get the data back. But this package does have calls that require things from you, the programmer, to get information back. Things like this, the Earth Assets and Imagery. From NASA, import Earth. That second line, it's saying Earth.assets. You have to specify the latitude, the longitude, the start date, and the end date. So these are the kinds of things that you will find in the documentation. I'm not sure what returns if you call it empty, if it comes up with an error, or if it comes up with something else. There's equal chance of it doing either. But just make sure you know, is this expecting anything from me before it can run? Is it expecting any variables from me? And when that, like we were saying, 1,000 pulls an hour sounds like a lot until you realize that you need that 1,000 pulls to do what you're doing. You know, it sounds like a lot until you say, hey, I need Mars atmosphere data for the last 3 years. And there you are right there. You've already done all of it. So if you want to run your program over and over again to test it, to see if it works, you're going to reach that very quickly. So please try to think about doing as little as you possibly can to verify your program. And then when you need to run it in a longer form for a longer test, do that then, and be sparing about it. And maybe think about having multiple people on your team sign up for API keys so that if one of them hits that limit, you're not in a bind. You can just switch it to someone else's API key.
We just have a couple quick backup slides. I believe there is a repo, correct, that has these slides on it. So if you want to reference it later, you're welcome to. Python.org has a lot of tutorials. It has a lot of the same links. I would recommend, as any programmer would, you know, the internet is your friend. Python.org is your friend. Stack Overflow is your friend when you run into a coding problem you can't solve. Okay, we received a question from the audience about what has inspired us to learn to code and what keeps us going as coders. I can start quickly. I actually studied environmental science in grad school. What I did is I actually took a statistics course, right? And we used a program called Stata, which is basically a statistical analysis package, kind of like R, which is also a statistical analysis language. I realized, hey, I really like stats. But what it was is I really liked programming. I actually did a career change and started learning Python as my first programming language because I enjoy math, I enjoy figuring out how things work, I enjoy making things that can be reusable. And I think that inspired me to continue along my path to where I'm now doing software testing.
Yeah, my background is in fine art printmaking. That was my first degree. So my route to code was sort of a big arc instead of a straight line. So after I got my fine art printmaking degree, I needed to do things in code. As a small business owner, I had to make a website. I had to have a store. I ended up realizing that what I liked the most about being a small business owner was doing websites, and I started doing those freelance. And then I started wanting the stability of a 9-to-5, so I went back and got my CS degree and realized, man, I just love making computers do things. It's fun because they don't, they're not smart at all. Computers, we think about them as being smart, but they're not. They're going to do exactly what you tell them to do. So if it's messing up, most likely it's your code. And I like having that direct one-to-one experience of saying, okay, I did something wrong. What is it that I can fix? And what encourages me to keep going is the community. Urban Engine, Space Apps, Hackathon, open source, all of that. I see a big movement in the country and globally raising the level of the programming community, getting more people into it. I gotta say, you gotta learn something, you gotta teach someone, you gotta contribute, you gotta give back to your community. And here in town we have the Women Who Code, who have been excellent supporters of mine through this whole journey. They were with me from the beginning when I went back to school. Just people saying, you know, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. Do we have any more questions from the chat or from the room? Yeah. So the question is, which code editor is best for Python? I will say that PyCharm has saved my life so many times. I love PyCharm. I believe there's a community edition for it. What you're looking for when you go to a code editor, you want to see highlighting, you want to see helpful tooltips, you want to see automatic refactoring. That means when you click on a variable and you want to change the name, it'll find all the instances. It's like find and replace for your entire program. You want to see features like that when you get into having a real code editor.
So I started out doing data analysis. That was sort of my transition from environmental statistics and GIS, which you can actually design Python packages for ArcGIS and for geographic information systems information pretty easily, by the way. I actually prefer something called Jupyter Notebooks. You can have a browser-based or desktop-based version, and it's modularized. So if you want to test one function, you can do that very easily. You just click run, and it'll only run that function, so you can test it with different variables, see if it functions the way you want to. You can also use try and catch to further test it. It really depends on what you want to use it for. For instance, there's web frameworks, there's game development frameworks, which I have not touched. It's a very functional language. It interacts easily with other code editors. For instance, you can use it with C, C++. You can use it with JavaScript. It's part of the reason is it's easy to learn, and it's super functional for a variety of uses. Things that Python isn't particularly well suited for. Well, I will say if you're trying to do .NET development, which is Windows-based, you probably want to work in C# or F#. One thing I figured out when I was doing research for this presentation, it's not generally used for mobile app development. I would also say if you're doing really basic work, like say you're looking at memory allocation, you're looking at the ways systems level functions work. Python is not good for that. Python is a higher level language. You probably want a much lower level language, like C.
Right, that's what I was going to say as well. If you're working on a chip or on bare metal and you're fooling with things like GPIO, you probably won't be using Python. You'll probably be using something more low level where you can target an exact memory address or target an exact place on the board. So Python's really more for higher level to run on any platform, things like that.
It is a great first language because if you're like, what is memory allocation? I'm right there with you. I'm still learning it myself using C and C++. Any more questions? Okay. I think that's it. I think we will.
Yeah, my last plug is please go learn something. Please go teach someone. Please go contribute to something, okay? Thank you guys so much for having us out.
Stop by the Women Who Code Huntsville booth.
Woo!
and it's recycling the future of recycling. There are two teams here working on that issue. And I don't know if you have any other questions. If not, I will go back and show you the guys who are working on virtual reality. If there's no one here who wants or share anything with Matt, come on. Yeah, how are the challenges in the rest of the world? And how many cities have you visited virtually?
So I've done maybe like 8 different chats so far. Or maybe this is my 8th chat. So I'm only talking with out of the 200 events, maybe 15 people. So I'm glad I get to talk with Madrid and hear about what's happening. You definitely have a lot of people in your event. Like you said, 65 people there. So
Is that good? What's the average?
Oh, I'm not sure. I think it is higher than a lot of events. Some of them have like 25 or 30 people. A lot have just around 50. So I think you're a little bit higher. But we have events. Some of them are as small as like 10 or 20 people, and others are like 300 people or even thousands of people. So we'll see at the end of this. But I can tell you that this year, as of about 2 hours ago, so we still have people who are registering. As of about 2 hours ago, we had 17,000 people who were participating total.
Nice. Is it a new record?
Not yet. We're not at actually a new record in terms of number of events. Last year it was 107 events in 70 countries. This year it is close to about 225 events in 80 countries. So we have higher numbers, but people are still signing up. Like I'm still seeing numbers go up. So we'll see. But I think the cool thing is that all of you are getting really hands-on with your solutions, and hopefully we have a ton of like great projects this year because we're looking for like quality more than anything this year. It sounds like you all are working on some pretty cool projects and some good stuff that we'll see in the space apps.
How many engineers we have in the room? Please raise your hand. How many scientists or mathematicians? You see, we try to do our work as best as we can, and I hope they deliver tomorrow really good results. I'm going to. Do you want anyone else wants to share or here? Hello.
Hi.
I wanted to ask you, how is working for NASA? For NASA?
Yeah, so in the work I do, I work for NASA only on certain projects, so Space Apps Challenge, I'm working on some other projects. I mostly work for a company called Second Unit, which works on innovation projects. So, I mean, just to talk to you about my work on my challenge and what that's like, it's such an honor, really, to be able to work with and talk with and have conversations with people all over the world. So, like sometimes on my global planning calls, I only get to hear from people a little bit, but I get to hear people's actual stories and experiences. Everyone is so different, and that's one thing I love about Space Apps is that, like, I'm sure in Madrid, there are and everywhere in the U.S. there are always local politics and everything that's going on. There are always news and events. And I feel like with Space Apps, for one weekend at least, it gives people about all of the problems that they have, and really just to focus on doing something that's fun. And I don't know, that's what I really love about Space Apps. And one cool thing about NASA is that I think it brings people together in that way.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Here, another question for you, Matt.
So Matt, this is not a tricky question, no? But what would you do to win the competition?
What would I do? Work hard.
Work hard.
No, work hard. Work with a lot. Like, I think what's so funny to me is that, like, we talk a lot about winning, and you have a chance to win at your local event, like win that local recognition, which is great. But I mean, on the global level, only 6 teams win the prize, which is an invitation to come to the Kennedy Space Center here in the U.S. and hopefully that lines up with space shuttle launch. But again, that's only 6 teams that win that prize. So what I would say is work with other people, ask people questions, help other people out, and maybe you'll be the winner at your event. Maybe you'll create something awesome, and maybe you'll end up being one of the global winners and coming to the U.S. for that shuttle launch or just that event at the Kennedy Space Center.
Someone else? Anyone else? Sorry. Then I'm going to take the laptop to the other place so you can see the thing that is working.
Yeah, sure.
But let's say you would buy it because then I could hang out.
Bye, everyone. Happy.
You can see their faces closer.
Just gonna keep waving.
And there's one team here that, well, in fact, there are 3 teams here. There's one guy here. You can see him. Wait a second, I'm going to change the camera so you can see us better. Well, this is Matt. 1 second.
There you are.
This is Matt. Hello, Matt. This is one of the guys who has keep working on his project. Which other project is? It's the on the shoulders of giants. They are doing the game.
Oh wow! And by the way, I see you have your WeWork lanyard on. I have a WeWork sticker on the back of my. That was also a member. I know that you have WeWork involved in your event too. But could you tell us? I want to hear more about your projects, and then I want to hear more about like other organizations you're partnering with to put on the event.
Sorry.
Oh, I want to hear more about your projects, but then more about other organizations that are helping put on your put on your event.
Okay. Let me 1 second.
The audio is still yeah.
Let me check because we're having problems with the audio. Bibi? 1 second. ¿Ya? ¿Estás desconectado? Quítalo.
Es que no me desconecta.
Okay, 1 second, Matt. I'm going to stop the. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm going to please, guys. I'm going to show some room, so we can speak closely. Okay. So you were saying that you want to know more about our partners? Or no?
Yeah, about your partners, because I keep seeing the WeWork lanyard that you have on.
Yes, well, we are in WeWork since January, and we have been doing some events with them. When I told them, hey, we want to do this, and they say yes, and Spain they are really helpful to us. And in fact, they were they wonder to know if there are other places that they are doing this and why they are not doing it. We have a very good connection with scientists and engineers, so that's I think why it's happening here, because normally they don't know this kind of places.
Yeah, that's true. But it's cool to hear that that's like you have that connection, and I hope in future years of Space Apps, like WeWork and other organizations could work with more Space Apps participants and support more Space Apps events all over the world.
I have to tell you that we get a lot of interest from from big companies here in Spain. Airbus is working as a partner with us too. Also, Indra, which is a big Spanish company specialized in engineer. They wanted to know if we were organizing this also in Peru and Colombia because they have filials in those countries. And now we are really small. So just imagine from the beginning. But for next year, we're thinking about doing in Madrid and Barcelona at the same time, maybe another city, Oviedo, because we engage really good with people. We had a really huge waiting list. There were 40 engineers of another company wanted to be here, but the venue is big, but we only can host 65 people.
Yeah. Yeah. What I would say is, keep up the great work. It's really cool what you're doing. Do you have any advice though for like any of the global space apps participants who are working this weekend?
What would be my advice?
Yeah.
Well, try to show real interest in this. Try to engage with big companies when you say that you are organizing something for NASA. They want to hear really quick. I was yesterday at the national radio explaining this initiative. I'm going to have an interview at the national radio on Tuesday explaining what we did here during this weekend. So if you say, look, I'm serious, I'm going to put these 10 hours per week since you know when is it, and you reach if you have one mate that works in a big company, hey, why don't you tell the communications director that we are going to do this for NASA? They are going to get a lot of attention, maybe money. We raised like close to $5,000 for doing this. We are giving these guys the food. We're having these guys beautiful agendas and these bottles. With the astronaut. Well, you can see that the astronaut, and here are the logos of P&G, Celera, and there's the Space Apps NASA logo.
Yeah.
So we made really cool things for them, and it's just putting passion and try to reach the proper people.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, that's awesome stuff. The only thing I'll tell you is that if just tell your participants, use hashtag space apps. Like, I think, there are a lot of people sharing on hashtag space apps. It's reached more than 45 million people worldwide so far, which is amazing. And just use that to share pictures and videos because I'll keep an eye out for that, and I'd love to see more of what you're working on this weekend, even after we log off here.
Okay, I will. And if you want to connect with us, because we wanted to do it after the challenge to wrap up and tell you, look, we have plans for next year, and we would like to know, because for us, this weekend I have a program with Coca-Cola, which is 65 hours. I have half of the NGO with Coca-Cola and the other half of the NGO here, participants, not the staff. The staff, we are only two. We work really hard. So
you're doing awesome work, and keep it up. You have a lot of participants, so we'll definitely be in touch after Space Apps again. But
great.
Thanks again.
Well, Matt, I know that you're busy.
Yeah.
So see you later and enjoy. And congratulations for this initiative. It's awesome.
Thank you.